That's
You're gonna be very happy about that.
not what I expected.
RoosterTeeth were really innovators in defining what online video would be.
I mean, the fact that Red vs. Blue has been an animated series that's ran 10 years is unprecedented.
RoosterTeeth has been around as long as I can remember.
They just quietly churn out amazing content that is freaking hysterical.
It's always been this sort of geeky crowd that kind of is into their style of humor and stuff, and it's just you generally didn't find that in television or movies.
What RoosterTeeth is a studio. They're a social media juggernaut. They're a production house, and they're their own distributors. And that is power.
Well, over here is the tech office.
ROS Productions is a web production company in Austin, Texas. We're primarily known for our flagship show, which is Red vs. Blue.
Hey. Yeah? You ever wonder why we're here? It's one of life's great mysteries, isn't it? Why are we here?
The first website we ever collaborated on was a website called Ugly Internet, where we would critique people's web designs, and then we would email domain registrars asking that the website domains be revoked. Someone found where we lived and started posting pictures of our house online, so we quit that site. After that one, we did another one called drunkgamers.com.
And the entire business model for Drunk Gamers was to get free video games.
So we got one free video game.
And it was Blinks the Time Sweeper.
10 out of 10, perfect game.
The start of ROS was basically two different groups coming together. It was my friends who worked on movies that I worked with movies on in college, and my buddies that I worked on web stuff with.
Bernie and I always wanted to continue doing projects together, and when he came up with the idea for Red vs. Blue, he would just call me and say, hey, I need you to record some lines. I'm like, should I go to a studio or something? It's like, no, let's just do it right now.
Shouldn't we help him? Nah, that would just ruin the moment.
We were doing voiceover in closets, literally in Matt's closet in his house.
And I'm talking on the phone, and he's recording it on a speakerphone.
I'd never really acted. I had no experience with any of that stuff. In fact, I think we have footage of that.
No, I mean, like, why are we even bothering with the video for this?
Well,
I mean,
because you never know. I mean, it might be funny. I mean, this video is actually pretty interesting looking, and you know, if it gets popular enough, we can just. You never know.
The making of
behind the scenes.
Why not take it, right?
Yeah.
I look like a 12-year-old. Oh, I don't like looking at that.
No, this wasn't in the contract. I wasn't expecting this.
I mean, we've done almost 200 episodes of Red vs. Blue. It's like autopilot at this point. It's like a second skin.
Well, don't be an asshole.
Keep my mind, speak clearly, and speak about 10% slower than you normally would.
Some cosmic coincidence,
Or is there really a God who watches over everything we do?
you know, with a plan for us and stuff?
I meant, why are we here?
In this canyon? Oh,
August of 2002, I put a trailer up.
There was a brief but violent period of civil war among humans. Man fighting man. Red versus Blue.
About 6 months after that, I had the first episode done and then posted that online.
There was no way to stream video effectively, so we had to host video files. In the place we used to work at, we just plugged a computer into a spare network port in the wall and said, oh, we'll run our website on that thing.
It went on the front page of fark.com, but I didn't know that because I was working that day.
There was so much traffic, it took the entire business down.
The head of technology for the company is all of a sudden in the doorway to my office. And I looked over at that computer, and that hard drive light that was blinking was like, blink. It was like solid red.
So we had to unplug it and move it out.
And so yeah, then I immediately went to work trying to figure out how to host this thing. Got a co-location facility and then put it out there.
It was just a huge pain in the ass. I'm glad those days are over.
Now that you've mastered driving the M808V, let's move on to some of the safety features.
By the end of the month, we had just about 1 million people watching the 4th episode. Our tech guy, Gus, he would watch the way people would hit the video, and he could see the IP addresses coming in. Well, one day, there was a hit from Microsoft.com, and then there was like 3 or 4 hits from Microsoft.com. Then there was about 1,000 that all of a sudden just a flood of them coming in. We got a phone call, we picked it up, and it was Bungie Studios. It was the people who made Halo, who at the time were owned by Microsoft. Essentially what they said to us was, we don't really know where this is going, but this seems like something neat and innovative, so let's just see where it goes. Let's take it a couple weeks and see what happens, and now we're getting close to going past our first decade.
It's not work when you're excited about what you're working on. Does that make sense?
And this is when we cook steaks here. And there's two guys in particular who will just wait. And the best part is after you cook a steak, you've got to let it rest.
How long have you waited for the juices? 4 minutes for the juices.
And that is the longest part of their day, those two. They will just sit there with fork and knife.
All of the rules, you know, about how you get a film made or how you get a video made and how people see it, the internet just kind of blew away those barriers. We could just make videos that we wanted to make that we thought were funny and put them out for people immediately, and if they liked them, then great. As a business model, R.O.S.E took a little bit more structured to come about. I was always a big fan of a site called Homestar Runner. I realized, I said, this seems like a production company, but actually what it is, it's a t-shirt shop, and it just has a really awesome marketing campaign. And so t-shirts at the time were kind of like the economic base unit of the internet. You know, you put up t-shirts and you sell them. I had the idea that we were gonna make a DVD eventually. So why don't we put up a model that's called our sponsors, where you could sponsor the first season. So the first year of Red vs. Blue was supported solely by t-shirt sales and by those sponsors, those premium members.
What am I working on? Oh, are you doing a behind the scenes video? I'm working on a video game movie. You gotta listen to him.
Right before we started doing Red vs. Blue, I had gotten sick of the job I had, so I had quit, and I moved in with my parents.
The last job opportunity I had was a TV show that was going to be shot in Vancouver, and I was trying to decide if I should go to Vancouver or Austin, but it was pretty much an easy decision, came to Austin. But the TV show that went on ended up being on the air for a really long time. It was on for like 10 seasons.
What show was it? Smallville.
Smallville.
Oh, okay. I was already at bottom. I was already living at home again. I was already not doing anything, so it didn't matter. If it didn't make it, I don't know, I'd go work at a fast food place.
And our box set on Amazon was like right next to Smallville for like top sales.
I spy something.
Dirt.
Damn! How did you?
Well, because you did rock last time. That's all that's out here is rock and dirt.
Yeah, this canyon sucks.
I think people have assumed over the years that we had like a special edition of Halo, but we never had that. First like 7 seasons, it was just pick up a copy of Halo off the shelf, and that was our production environment. When I look at it as a writer, any verb that I could use to write the show had to be a button on the controller. So that was walk or run, look, jump, crouch, or shoot. That was it. When we got to the end of season 5, we changed things up and started a new storyline. As a result of that, we started looking at new and different ways to produce the show. I found a guy by the name of Monty Oum who made this video. You know, the models were okay, and the environments were okay, and the textures were okay, but the animation and the choreography was nuts. So we reached out to him, and I said, do you want to like take a look at doing some Red vs. Blue stuff? Let's just put it this way. I had a lot more verbs I could use once Monty Oum came on.
Stay close to me. I'm your best chance for survival.
And then that's Gus. And the director Xbox. Remember how you were afraid that I would throw that ball at you? And I was like, I have no reason to throw that ball at Gus. I would never do that.
I'm happy, bro.
We wanted to close Congress down from the Capitol and then all the way down to 6th Street. Went to the city, they said, oh, well, that takes 3 months. And I said, oh, well, I have 2 weeks. But we made it happen, and it was amazing.
Austin's a great city to shoot in because unlike a lot of other cities, you don't need permits, you don't have to worry about a lot of that stuff.
In LA, it probably would take 6 months to make something like that happen. It just would have cost a lot more money.
Agent Carolina, information never displeases me. It's ignorance that I find unforgivable.
I've been in producing animation for about 16 years. I'm not a backstabbing, clawing person to get to the top. I like to just work really hard. And so that's not a good fit for Hollywood.
I spent like 2 days once painting out an extension cable in a shot because one of you guys were not able to pull it to the side. Like, this is what I've been reduced to.
I once did 5 days. They were all about 18-hour days, 5 days in a row on a commercial. And the last day was, I think, 24 hours. And by the end of it, I don't remember the things I was doing. I was like hallucinating almost because I was so tired and just being a zombie.
You know, it just didn't have really a good quality of life. I was just working all the time. And, you know, and you kind of, at the end of the day, it's like, for what?
When you see 300 people on a set, you know how much like an hour costs.
To be able to come to a studio that I actually believe in and have projects that I'm really excited about, that's really, I mean, great that I'm friends with them, but the reality is I'm working on shows that I actually have some kind of input.
Here I work 9 to 5, which is much more sensible. And everything's still planned and efficient, but it's just, the scale of it is so small that it's much more pleasant environment, I think.
Don't come to LA. Stay in Austin. It's way better. You don't get charged.
Stay as far as you can from the unions as possible.
Yeah.
Always.
You guys are doing it right.
I was working in LA at the time when we started, and when I started telling my friends and people that I worked with that I was going to move to Austin and do this full time, nobody understood it.
If I go to a dinner party, it's like a 40-minute conversation. They do not understand it.
I mean, you could not get anybody to process it because it was like, okay, so you guys have a boss somewhere else, so somebody else owns you. No, we're just gonna put stuff online and we think it'll work out.
And we saw that where we were standing, the entire world was coming that direction. And it seems like in the last few years, they're running that direction.
Yeah. What YouTube's done for not only RoosterTeeth, but everybody, it's given them the largest platform in the world.
For like 2.5 years, it just make a living off doing short films. But it needed a place where people could see it and a way for that to be monetized, for that to actually work out. And at the time, it's like beyond the comprehension of like the traditional film ways of doing things.
The beautiful thing about the internet is just the immediacy of it. So it just makes it impossible for you to ever feel like you're in a rut, because you have the power to change up anything you want to do.
Whenever we go anywhere, the first cheer is to the internet, because it just, none of this would happen. I wouldn't be sitting here right now if we didn't have the internet.
I just looked at him quizzically and I was like, you by any chance Bernie Burns? He's like, yeah, that's my name. I was like, oh my God. Like, I've watched the show since I was like in middle school. It's my favorite thing ever. He said, hey, you know, you've been nice and all that. Why don't you come over to the barbecue tomorrow? And I was like, yes, I would very much like to do that.
The strength of this company is the community that supports it.
And that's always a big thing. Like, we always want to stay in touch with the community.
My favorite part of this whole community has actually been the interaction with all the fans.
Rooster Teeth is so focused on their community, and they're so dedicated to making their fans feel appreciated and recognized.
It's like a privilege to me to be a really good role model for these kids.
You have to foster and give back to that community and spend time with them and get to know them and develop a relationship with them.
We've brought out these individuals that might have not been social in other ways, but because they've been on our community and got to know other people in our community, it's brought them out of their shell.
I think because of that, people feel a really strong attachment to the company and really dedicated on a whole nother level than they would be to any other show or any other production.
It's awesome to think that the audience has given us an awesome life.
Why are you wearing my armor? Oh, they sort of used me to replace you on Blue Team. Replace me? I wouldn't really use the word replace, but there's no word for take over for you and make everything better almost immediately, so we just say replace.
We now have people that we've all hired purely from our community.
For a lot of people, especially fans, it's their dream to work with Rooster Teeth, and because it's such a small company, it's something I never thought would be possible.
Well, I started as a fan. Then I was able to play Halo with them on Xbox Live. You can just have a chat to them while you shoot them in the face and stuff.
So when they asked me if I was interested in a job, I instantly said yes.
Slow Mo Guys is my personal project. I actually did it to get a visa to work in the US so I could work at Rooster Teeth.
It wasn't a matter of salary or, you know, moving to a different country or a different city. It was just Rooster Teeth.
It was a cool journey, for sure.
I was on board right away, no questions.
We really just wanted to make content to make each other laugh, and it was for the first whatever it was, 5, 6 years, it was 4 or 5 guys sitting in a spare bedroom just trying to make each other laugh and entertain each other. I think maybe that's what people identify with and that like. It's, even though we're in this giant warehouse, it's still a bunch of dudes just trying to make each other laugh and say dumb things and be silly.
We love the voice of the internet. We just think it's a new way of telling stories, and it's a new medium, and it's very exciting to us. So we want to take that as far as we possibly can in terms of communicating with our fans than any artist or production company has been able to do so far.
Let me ask you two a question. You ever wonder why we're here?
It does seem to be one of life's great mysteries.
No, I mean you! What are you doing here?
A video game is this really advanced piece of graphical software that lets you interact with this world in real time, and in real time it displays and renders that world as you interact with it. And the game itself is just the rules they layer on top of that right at the end. But you can choose to play the game a different way, and that's where Machinima starts, is when you say, okay, I'm not going to play the games by the rules that are intended, I'm going to play it in my own way.
Do you want me to answer to you or answer to one of the cameras?
Answer to me.
Okay.
And, cool. Okay, well, we'll just start out real casual. Can you state your name and occupation?
My name is Gus Cirola. I'm an executive producer and senior technical advisor at RoosterTeeth Productions.
Okay, and who's that next to you?
And this is Joe the cat, who I hate with a passion. He is the resident Gus antagonizer.
Yeah, it looks like you guys hate each other.
It's a one-way hate, unfortunately. Yeah, the thing fell.
They discovered me because I had made a film called Haloid. Fast forward 7 years later, I got back in touch with RoosterTeeth, and the rest is history.
Monty Oum is probably one of the hardest working, most focused people I've ever met in my life.
I need to be fast. Fast is something that is important.
He strives to be the most efficient worker possible, and all he does is work.
I work 7 days a week. Every minute of the day, I'm not sleeping or in the shower.
He'll work about 18 hours, and then he'll be gone, and then he'll sleep until then, and then he comes back.
I think he has an apartment. He might go home and sleep every now and then.
I live across the street from that studio, literally, and I drive to work because I can't get to my desk fast enough.
He rips keys out of his keyboard that slow him down.
And shortcuts will save your life because I literally work with millions upon millions of files at a time. Bruce Lee said at one point, you need to exercise speed, accuracy, power. Speed is the speed you create your movie. Accuracy is how close you get to your vision, and power is generated from speed and accuracy.
He sets up beds right next to his computer.
I mean, for Christ's sakes, Monty has to have 9 monitors for some reason.
I think Monty also runs the Matrix while he's doing animation, so.
The shortcut for brightness, contrast, and Photoshop on a PC, it's Alt-I-A, and C brings brightness, contrast down. It's highlighted, you can see it, it makes sense.
He's just super focused on getting his shit done, and I think it shows.
You come in the morning and here's a 40-second sequence that he worked on in 8 hours. And you're like, who helped you with this? He's like, oh no, that's all me. He's the guy hitting the guy and he's the guy being hit. So he does the motion capture for all the different things.
So like if I'm doing a scene, then you have to be the person who's punching, but then you also have to act out the person who's getting punched. And then we take that, the motion capture data, bring that into Maya, and then animation on top of it, because mocap is not going to capture like your hands or your fingers or anything.
I hate updates, and I can see shortcuts disappearing one at a time. If I could snapshot the level of technology I had 4 years ago, I could work with that for the next 20 years. I'm in a race to do something new with the tools I had, but while the tools I had slowly become unusable.
We got him a new version of his software that he uses to animate. He is like, can roll me back because I need this menu option, and now it's 3 clicks, and before it was 2 clicks. I want to go back to 2 clicks.
The race is essentially against myself because I'm already out of date.
Justin brought a skateboard and started skating in the parking lot, and that got all of us non-skaters interested. And then one by one, we each started building and buying our own skateboards. Then Justin incorporated his skateboard, his skateboarding skills into the show by giving Theta a little skateboard that he plays on.
They had to face the issues of bandwidth, and they had to face the issues of like, where do we host videos? This was pre-YouTube, you had nowhere to upload it. And I remember the big thing about YouTube originally was like, you can put this up here and you don't have to pay for bandwidth.
Like, how can this be free? How can this service be for free?
I remember when YouTube started, and I took a look at this before Google bought them. And it was a friend of mine that showed it to me and said, this thing's gonna be huge. And I took one look at it and I go, that's not it's not gonna take off.
It's now this huge blossoming business.
One, people already go there to look for video anyway.
Who's on YouTube? Everybody? I mean, my fucking parents. And they don't know how to turn their computer on. So everybody's on YouTube.
And two, it's like they have such enormous bandwidth, it doesn't matter. You know, the biggest video you can put out, they can still scale to.
We didn't join YouTube till about late in 2008, so we were playing catch up big time. And I was happy that after 3 years of doing that, in 2011 we were #8 most watched on YouTube. We had talked about for a long time making the show that was kind of going back to our Drunk Gamers days, that was just about video game culture.
My name is Gus Sorolla, and I'm a gamer. Well, I used to be.
We did like some initial like bets between Jeff and I of who could get the most achievements in the shortest amount of time. And then Jeff just took that and ran with it. And now that's our primary YouTube product.
I loved making Red vs. Blue. I mean, probably one of the highlights of my life was being there from day one and helping create that. But after doing it for 6 or 7 years, you kind of look for a different way to be creative and to kind of like recharge. And so I had that with Achievement Hunter, and then as I started to pour energy into that, it started to grow on its own, and eventually I was able to quit doing all the other stuff in the company and turn Achievement Hunter into a full-time job.
Bleep bloop. That's not a real achievement. Yes, it is. Bleep bloop. No, you can't do that. You can't fake the achievements. They have to be approved. Bleep bloop. Stop saying bleep bloop. Bleep bloop.
And the cool thing about Achievement Hunter, it's like, when it comes down to it, we're gamers. Like, we've been playing games our whole life, and this is a website that I personally would use. Like, I mean, one of my fondest memories is the first Nintendo Power I ever got had the fold-out Legend of Zelda map, and I've had the chance now to actually make maps in various games. You know, it's kind of cool to see that turnaround actually be a part of that.
Bam. I need to stop doing things at cameras.
It's one thing to read on GameFAQs how to get the Mile High achievement, but it's an entirely different thing to watch somebody else do it and actually see it.
Even on top of that, to have someone narrating it and like explaining what they're doing, and then add with a little touch of personality to it. I mean, you can have a very dry sort of run through of someone explaining how to do something, or you can have someone kind of having fun with it.
How did I get here?
Who am I?
You know, still showing you how to do it, but you know, making you laugh in the process, and that was sort of our goal.
It's like edutainment.
Don't ever say that again.
Your mom controls the camera.
Oh! Shout out to Jack's mom.
I didn't know about the back of my head looked like that.
I think it's 100% personality at this point. We've stopped being helpful. You know, we were never that good at games to begin with.
Hello, Gavin. So you're just a second.
I'd say our biggest inspiration was this guy named Randall Glass, who did this video called the Warthog Trick Shot, or Warthog Jump, right? And he would like throw grenades under a Warthog in Halo 1 and launch it as high in the air and try to get it over spires and stuff.
It's always been great to see what people are doing, you know, inside of the game engine and making videos from it.
And that was like one of the first viral videos I'd ever seen.
That's the power and the awesome thing about video games. And so that's the stuff we like to do in Achievement Hunter, is just find ways to celebrate and have fun with the game in the way that people are doing it in their own home.
You see in the background, we have an elite who goes flying through the air, and the grunts are like, oh God! They don't know what to do, so they pulled out grenades and immediately exploded.
People that go and get achievements are a niche market inside gaming. And so we want to make stuff that has as broad of an appeal as possible. Like, I'm watching Michael play a video game and he's laughing about how dirty a toilet in Call of Duty is. And we're like, I wonder how many other toilets are dirty in video games. And that begins a search. And then a week later, we have a top 10 dirtiest toilets in video games video. That's our bread and butter, these shows that we've created that kind of like have, I guess, a broader appeal and just kind of celebrate gaming in general.
Spoiler, Red vs. Blue Season 11.
Announcement. I already talked about it.
No.
Confirmed.
What started as a company around one show has grown to this thing where there's lots of different shows and lots of different products being made under the RoosterTeeth umbrella. We're always trying new things. In fact, one of the earliest things we did was one of our best decisions, was we made a social media site of our own.
We're, I think, at 1.3 million registered users now, so it's grown quite a bit, and it's really fun to see people interacting with each other and becoming friends on a whole another level.
And those are our most valuable fans, our core fans. And out of that is what spawned our convention, RTX. We had about 5,000 people show up to RTX this year in 2012. And so this year when we did our shoot, we did a call for extras. We had 1,800 people show up, and we shut down the main road in downtown Austin, and we shot this apocalyptic scene with 1,800 extras. That was a lot of fun.